It's so frustrating because there's part of me that's like, it's been so many years since like the main traumas happened. And it feels like my life for the most part, like there's no reason for me to really feel this depressed right now, for it to constantly come back to this place. And yet here I am feeling like everything is so overwhelming. Like, what's wrong with me? And she just looked at me and was like, nothing's wrong with you. Like, you're a human being.
Welcome to Normalize the Conversation by Inspiring My Generation. I'm your host, Francesca Reicheter. Today, I'm joined by Brittany Bennett, a licensed mental health counselor, author, and wellness advocate known for having the conversations many people avoid. In this episode, we hold space for one of the hardest but most necessary topics in mental health: suicidality and support. We talk about what it's like to reach your breaking point, why those feelings are often so hidden, and how the right support can change everything. This is an honest, compassionate conversation rooted in survival and hope. If you've ever felt alone in your darkest moments, or want to better support someone who might be, join us in this conversation. Asking for help can save lives.
Brittany, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited about our conversation. Before we begin, I want to check in. How are you really?
Well, it's interesting. The time of year that you and I are meeting, there's a lot of changes. It's winter here in New York State. The holidays are around the corner, and it can bring up a lot of different feelings, experiences, memories, and traditions. So I'm just taking it, one day at a time and enjoying the moments that feel really good, and also really intentionally choosing to balance my time so that I'm not so overwhelmed with the hustle and the bustle of this season. So as of right now, I think I'm doing pretty well honoring that for myself.
Thank you for saying that, because this time of year feels so hard. And I mean, maybe it's the side of the algorithm that I'm on, but all the pictures online, everyone just seems so happy. And like they have all these really big traditions and everything is so great. And they have all these things with their family. And then I had a lot of losses a few years ago around this time. And all of my family's traditions have really shifted, and we don't have traditions anymore. We kind of do something different every year and try to figure it out. Like we're still trying to figure out what we're going to do for Christmas Eve and Christmas dinner this year. Like we are playing it by ear, and it feels really overwhelming. I've even started Christmas shopping because I feel so overwhelmed by the idea of it, because it doesn't feel like the holidays anymore. I still haven't adjusted. It still feels overwhelming. It still feels like too much. This time of year feels so heavy, and yet when I go online, everyone seems so happy. So I always feel like I'm the only one who's like, this time of year feels hard. And just hearing you say that, I was like, okay, again, such a great reminder that this is a really hard time for so many of us, and that's okay. And we can take it that one moment at a time.
Well said. I agree.
I was so funny. I just restarted therapy, and I was sitting in the therapist, I was like the Zoom room, and I was like, it's so frustrating because there's part of me that's like, it's been so many years since like the main traumas happened. And it feels like my life for the most part, like there's no reason for me to really feel this depressed right now, for it to constantly come back to this place. And yet here I am feeling like everything is so overwhelming. Like, what's wrong with me? And she just looked at me and was like, nothing's wrong with you. Like, you're a human being. And like, we just forget that because these aren't the conversations that are being held all the time. And it just feels so isolating.
That's so right. That's so true. Yes, being human is absolutely one thing. And I think a lot about, this thought around, what is depression and what does it look like and how it can be for different people. And I think that you hit the nail on the head just a little bit ago when you reference, I won't say your words exactly the way you had said them, but from what I heard is if things are going okay or things are somewhat, what's the word? Just kind of going through the days, where nothing major or significant is impacting us and we still feel off, or maybe we do have a down day, or maybe we're in a little bit of a slump of depression, that sometimes nothing major or significant does have to happen for us to feel down or sad or in a little bit of of maybe a depressed mood. And really, it's just kind of taking an inventory of what really is going on or what might be making me feel this way. And sometimes it's just the simple things. How are we spending our time? And if we don't have a commitment, such as maybe a job or an outing that we have to go to, how are we spending the downtime? And can we spend it differently? Can we choose to spend it differently? If we need to just sit back and relax, and if that means just quiet time, or if that means, even if it's something as simple as scrolling on your phone, which might be it might be negative in some regards to some people, but sometimes just that downtime to just do nothing, just to think or do something mindless, can really alter the mood in a way where it's giving yourself a break, and that's totally acceptable and reasonable and something we should consider. How do we want to spend that downtime when we have it?
Yes. Oh, and that's something. So, as someone who lives alone and then works virtually and on my own as an entrepreneur, right? A lot of times I spend my days kind of isolated behind a computer screen. And when you work, for me, when I work from home and my work is so accessible from the computer all the time, it can be very hard to want to rest because it's right here with me at home all the time. My home is also my office, right? So I really struggle with creating a space for downtime and creating space to also be around other people, because it's so easy to just not go out. It's so easy to just stay in my bubble. It's so easy to just work a couple more hours, just do a little bit more. And when I don't give myself that rest, I start to feel more exhausted and burnt out. And then I sit there and I'm like, but I'm doing what I love. I have things that I'm very grateful for. I'm living somewhere that I'm so grateful for. I got to move across the country and I was so excited for that, something I really wanted. And yet I still feel like, how am I still in this place where I'm getting to feel depressed, where I can even feel like, oh, I don't want to be here sometimes? How do I get to that point without acknowledging that I'm not even giving myself space to rest, to breathe, to enjoy life?
Rest and recover for sure. And Francesca, even just listening to you talk about how, especially since I can't believe I'm going to say this and take us back there, but when COVID had first started and everything had been adjusted, and now we're working from home, and some of us have continued to work from home, and just hearing you say that, it's trying to separate the personal space with the workspace, like so many people are doing on that daily or weekly basis. If you still work from home, how important it is to be able to at least acknowledge and be aware of that, which you totally are. You say, hey, I know I'm all in this space, and it's so easy to just continue working, or it's so easy to go back to jot a note down. But if we were still in the workplace and we were home, we wouldn't be doing that. And I think that there's so much value in just kind of taking a look at, when is the cutoff going to be for me? Or can I set the tone for myself of, after a certain hour during the day, that I let it rest, I keep it there, because if I'm working tomorrow, I can revisit that back tomorrow. But it really truly takes some serious acknowledgement and commitment to at least put it into practice. But there's nothing wrong with putting it into practice and doing a trial and error and see what works for ourselves. So if we say, hey, for the next few days, I'm going to try to say, after 5:15 p.m., I'm done, and I'm giving myself the permission to put it behind me, because I'm going to be there tomorrow. And now I am going to focus on the other things that I want to do for myself for the rest or the remainder of the day.
Yeah, that's something I've definitely. It's so funny because in the beginning, I had these rules of no electronics in the bedroom, right? Like work at the desk. And that's it. Even like my phone, TV, not in the bedroom. the bedroom is for rest and that's it. Like very, very strict on that. And then slowly over time, it was like, well, I could just like lay in bed and work on the computer. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it just suddenly it's 2 a.m. and I'm on my phone answering emails in bed. Like it just completely shifted and I could still be working. Right. There's no reason I shouldn't. And it became this feeling of guilt that I should be doing more. I could be doing more. Why am I not doing more? And I totally let this idea of I need to be working all the time to have value take over instead of just I deserve rest too. Like I'm worthy just as a human being. And it makes such a difference on my mental health. And then I get to therapy and I'm like, I don't know why I'm here. Like everything seems like it should be great. I'm shaming myself for feeling depleted while I'm doing everything in my life to deplete myself, thinking, well, this is how it should be.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I mean, you have some great insights there. And really what's remarkable to me is being able to have that insight and awareness around it. And those things, if that's common for you, that it keeps coming up, sometimes I think it's worthwhile to kind of challenge it on the other end of choosing how to make space or commit to moments that actually feel good. But the thing about that, though, is to what degree? Because we also don't want to be unrealistic and say something like, once a week I'm going to go out and meet a friend. Like you had mentioned how easy it can be, like once you're home, to stay home. And that's so true. So being realistic and true to ourselves are what are things that truly are realistic, obtainable, and things that I might be willing to do within the home, right? So all of those things for work, they're always going to be there, but putting into that trial and error of just simply trying different things of how you want to be able to spend that time or try something new that is realistic and obtainable within the home that you'd like to do.
I like that because that's the thing, right? Is that I have that insight awareness, and then you would think I would do something about it. Most of the time I don't. It's a problem. And then it's like I create these big goals to try to counter them that are not realistic, that are not sustainable, that I'll maybe hold on to for like a week or two. And then I'm like, oh, this is not me. Like, I can't do this. I can't keep doing this. I don't have the energy to, and I'm the kind of person who's like, well, if my issue is that I don't go out and socialize enough and then I self-isolate, I'm going to go out every single night and talk to people. It's not going to happen. It's not going to last. But I completely go from 0 to 100. And if I just learn to take small baby steps, one thing I love is hosting. I'm a homebody. Like I really am. But I love hosting. So like having people come over here, right? That's a good way to socialize and not have to like go. I sound like I never want to leave the house. I leave the house sometimes. I go for walks. Does that count?
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so great going for a walk. What a great change in physical sensation too.
Yeah. So this counts, right? I leave the house.
Yes.
But I'm very much someone who gets anxious and overstimulated. But I love having people over. So like that's a great goal. Maybe once a month hosting people. That way I'm still having people over and people around and I'm not totally self-isolating, but I'm also not putting myself in a situation where I'm making myself feel really anxious and overwhelmed and then feeling worse about it and then not wanting to do it and then self-isolating and then shaming myself for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And even just kind of thinking about what is realistic or what is it obtainable. I'm talking about even just things small, like let's say the evening or having a meal or having a dinner, thinking ahead of time of how do you want to do that? Do you want to make dinner? Do you want to have leftovers? Do you want to take something out and have it delivered? But things that you truly look forward to, that you're choosing to do because it's what you want. Even as far as communication, if you just don't feel like taking that phone call or being on the phone, that you can choose when you're going to respond or take that phone call or call somebody back. And I love what you had said. If you wanted to plan an outing, you'd feel most comfortable at home and choosing to say, hey, if I want to have people over, then maybe I can choose this date and then put that out there, and then plan accordingly. And then you have enough time to be able to prepare for that, both mentally and physically, really.
Wait, okay, I like this. Like, just what do you want to do, like on a day to day?
Mhm.
I never think about that, right? Like, what do I want to do? All the way down to something as simple as dinner. I can't tell you how I had like for breakfast today. I think I had a pear and some cheese. Like, I didn't even think about what I wanted. It was whatever was like really easily accessible in the fridge. I sometimes don't plan, don't think. It's just whatever I have, or it just like on my walk, I stop and pick something up that's easy at the store.
Mhm.
Sometimes I don't even think about what I want. I just live in autopilot. And I think that happens to so many of us, right? We just kind of live in this autopilot. And then I know for me, when I do that, I'm not really enjoying anything that I'm doing. I'm just existing to exist. And then
Sure.
I get like kind of into that kind of numb state, right? Where it's like everything is just the same all the time.
Autopilot. What a awesome describing word. Not that it's awesome. Maybe I should change that a little bit, but an awesome acknowledgement to take a look at, because the autopilot is the daily doings. We just do because we have to do. And even thinking about you mentioning you ate what was there, and that's totally average, right? And we experience that. It's what's convenient, it's what's accessible. But there is a difference between putting into practice of mindful decision making. If you've heard that word mindfulness, being present or being aware and experiencing the moment for what it is. And if we can put into practice and dedicate some time to, maybe you have a full work week Monday through Friday, and you know that there's a few days that might be a little bit less busy, and maybe those are the days that you're going to commit to choosing how it is that you want to spend maybe that lunch hour. Maybe you choose ahead of time. You look at your schedule and you say, Tuesday and Wednesday this week on my calendar, I actually don't have something scheduled between 12 and 1. Let me take a look at and decide, is that a time that I can spend for myself in the way that I want to, whether it's a meal that I look forward to, having something already pre-planned, if you will. And how do I want to spend that lunch hour? Do I want to have it in peace and quiet and turn those electronics over and just mindful eating, if you will, and just enjoy the moment, setting my alarm clock for when that lunch hour ends? Or do I want to, go on my phone and take a look at something that's meaningful to me, or maybe I want to read or do something that's meaningful to me? But I think the most important thing is to acknowledge that, one, we're human. Two, it's very difficult. It's hard. It's hard to make change. But three, there is nothing wrong, and it is so worthwhile to just try, to just put it into practice, because we won't know if it's doable or if it feels realistic or if it feels good to us unless we actually just give it a go. Just give it I always say trial and error, and there can be so many good things that come from that.
Yeah, and this is like the perfect reminder that my time, my life, my actions, my choices, they all belong to me.
Mm.
I think it's so easy to forget that. I used to have this thing where I don't know where I lost like all of my practices, where I feel like I used to be so good with these boundaries, and I would have on my calendar, I would schedule me time, right? And like it was non-negotiable. I would go around and I would tell everyone, I was like, sorry, I have a date with myself. It's on the
I
calendar.
love that. I love that.
I was so like proud of it and adamant about it. And my friends would make fun of me. I'm like, sorry, are you on my calendar? No, but me time is. Um, and I would not cancel that me time, would not schedule.
Wow.
Like I was very, very adamant about it. And it felt so good to have that time, whether it was making sure I got my walk in. And then like yesterday, I moved a meeting up till 4:30 in the morning because it was with someone on a different coast. It was on they were on the East Coast, so it was 7:30 to them, 4:30 to me on the West Coast. Go me.
Wow.
So that I could accommodate like a friend later on, so I could spend time with them. And I never in a million years would have done that like 6 months ago. But I got to this place where it was so easy to just start sacrificing myself again. And I noticed that when I enter into more of these kind of living in autopilot, more of the depressive states, more of like everything's just fine, whatever kind of like mindset, I stop putting myself even into consideration. And I stop thinking that my time matters for me. I stop thinking that I even have a choice. It's just do whatever to make everyone else happy. My time, my energy, my actions, everything belongs to everyone around me instead of like, hey, I matter too in this.
The thing that comes up for me listening to you talk, Francesca, is just being able to ask ourselves the why am I doing this, or the why do I feel this way? To me, is we can start to pick apart and identify what it is that's taking away from us to feel better or our best or relaxed or calm or balanced, just to kind of use more meaningful words. The why is something that allows us to decide if we're going to make a change or put into practice something new. And just hearing you talk about that, it's so refreshing to be able to hear that whether you know that you're actively doing it, but you're recognizing the why you made those decisions. And if we allow ourselves the time to think about that and how we might be able to make small changes for ourselves, that really is the beginning stages of honoring, taking care of ourselves better, and putting ourselves first to take care of our mind, our body, and our spirit, which directly impacts our availability to others. It directly impacts our mood. It directly impacts our feel-good moments or our energy level. So there's so much that goes into that, and asking yourself why is the perfect place to start.
Your response just made me feel like I was getting an A+ in therapy. Yeah. So good. Okay, so for people listening who are like, maybe I am kind of doing this, what kind of questions can maybe they ask themselves to begin to identify, to begin to, I guess, identify that why, like you said?
There's so much that can go into that. And I really like to encourage thinking about even just starting with basic. Who are we around? And really really asking ourselves, who do I enjoy being around? And what does enjoy mean? Again, there's so much that's just in that alone, which is who do I feel comfortable around? Who do I feel calm around? Who do I not feel frustrated around? And equally as important, who do I feel frustrated around? Who do I feel on edge around? Where do I feel my most comfortable? Where do I feel my most calm? Where do I feel myself? Who are these people? And where are these places? Because taking the time to identify and say, who is it that I enjoy being around, and why? Why do we feel good around that person? Do they make us feel calm? Do we feel like we can be ourselves around them? Do we trust them? Why do we trust them? Why do we feel good in their presence? And on that other hand, being able to identify people and places that maybe we don't feel so great around, or maybe we feel unsettled around. What types of changes can we make in our own environment, or how often we spend time with these people? And if we are, let's say, in the same home, depending on life circumstances, how else can we spend our time where it is more enjoyable, and making time to spend time with the people that do bring us the calm and the comfort, or the being ourselves? So that's really where I like to just kind of start with, who are those people and why? And from there, it's amazing how you can actually start to identify what really is a support, who really is a support in my life. Because oftentimes we fall in this natural place of thinking that our supports in our life are family that we either live with or talk to the most often, because just out of whether it's pressure or obligation or just natural experience, we think that the people that we either see the most or talk to the most or live with are the first people that we have to talk to or tell what's going on in our lives. But really we get to choose who deserves to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there's so much worth in saying, hey, just because I live with this person, do I need to share this with them? Or is this something that I want to keep to myself? Or who's the person that I want to pick up the phone and send a text or give a phone call to tell them about something that just happened in my life? Again, the good, the bad, or the ugly. And before you make those decisions, really ask yourself, who is the person I want to share this with and why? And who might I not want to share something with and why? And even though it's natural and it can come up, we might feel a little unsettled. We might feel a little guilty if we don't share something with someone, but it's all about the timing and honoring what's best for us. Is this good for me? Will this bring me calm? Will this bring me comfort? And if not, can I choose to hold off or can I choose not to share something that's going on with somebody? A lot to unpack there. I kind of hit both sides at the same time. But I think that it's all worthwhile to explore.
Yes. Wait, I love this because that is something I've really been trying to learn lately is who's my support system.
Because some people you can love so much and really want in your life and have them in your life. And they can also make you feel drained. And maybe you don't spend as much time with them as you did in the past. You set boundaries around what that time looks like so that you don't feel as drained. That made a big difference for me, right? Realizing who brings me joy in what context. Because some people, they're really great when you're going out to dinner, right? And you're having fun conversations. But when things are serious, maybe they just don't know how to offer you the support that you need. They're a friend that's there for fun. They're not the friend that's there for that support. And that's okay. And being able to distinguish made such a difference for me. The friends that could really listen and offer me the support, those are the ones that I could reach out to. The friends that made it about them and they needed the attention and focus. Those are the friends that I could be a support to, not the person that I could reach out to and lean on. And being able to identify where those roles were just made such a difference. Realizing that I love my parents, love them. I try to teach them validation statements and anything about mental health, and they try to learn. They do. And there's sometimes they are so great. And I know I've had to learn when to call mom and dad and when not to call mom and dad, when to call my best friends. I learned different people to call for different things and had conversations on when they can call me for different things. And it made such a difference. But learning who your support system is and what those roles are changed the game. Because for so long, I was like, it was like calling someone who couldn't be that support for you. And then feeling like, okay, I have no one. And then convincing myself all the time, well, I have no one because I called this one person and they couldn't be there for me the way that I needed them. So now I'm all alone and it's never going to get better. And then I would just stay in that same cycle over and over again. And once it just shifted, it shifted.
It makes great sense to me. I mean, you really explored such an awesome, again, just an awesome cycle of thinking for everyone to hear and connect to. And it seems so relatable. And I just think that there's so much worthwhile value just to kind of acknowledge that out loud, that it's almost kind of like finding your people. It would be like if someone invites you to go see a concert with them, and if you're not a huge fan of that musician, you want that ticket to go to somebody else. It's like it's choosing. Like just because you like that person is a part of your life, that it's okay and acceptable. Thanks but no thanks, or choosing if you're going to commit to something. It's a little bit off the beaten path of what we were just talking about, but just extending it beyond that. Yes, we have people in our lives where we connect with some things and not other things, and that is part of life, and that is the weight of having connection with others in different ways.
Yes, exactly. I have this one friend who I was talking to her about being really upset about not being invited to something. And she looked at me, and I thought the response at first, I was like, that was kind of harsh. And then I was like, you know what? Actually, you're right.
So I was like, I was really upset that I wasn't invited to this. And she looked at me and was like, well, did you even want to go? Like, would you have been happy going? And I was like, well, that's not the point. I want to be included. Like, I was like, I'm hurt that I'm not included. Like, why are you not hearing me?
Mhm.
And she's like, she knew I wouldn't have wanted to go, that I probably would have tried to find an excuse not to go. I would have been miserable if I went. So, like, for her, she's like, you're upset about something you don't want to go to. You have an excuse to not go. You weren't invited. Like, this is exactly what you wanted. Like, hello. And she was right. Like, they knew that this is not something Francesca wants to do. Why invite her? Like, we'll do something else with Francesca, like that she'll want to do, that we'll want to do with her, that we'll all enjoy, you know? And it just, when you kind of get to know like where you belong and fit in and what you want to do, it makes a difference. But I think that was really interesting when she said it to me, like, you wouldn't want to be there. Like, why are you upset? And I was like, I was upset with an idea in my head that, like, that's not the support that I wanted, right? I think you just have people there who know what you want and that you're seen, right? But also in the way that you need. I think that just
Sure.
makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that kind of came up when you were talking in my mind was, like for example, if somebody really enjoys reading books and somebody doesn't read books at all, you would talk to your friend who reads books about the books. You wouldn't try talking about the book with somebody who has no interest in reading, but they're still your friend or your family member, right? So it's just I really think it's more so just being mindful and being intentional about, what we share and who we share it with, kind of full circle going back to that, and really just kind of acknowledging that it's not necessarily it's not really not necessarily negative. It's just about choosing how we spend our time and with who, and doing it in a way where we connect with people, and we might connect with family and friends with one area that somebody else might not. And if we are just acknowledging that, it can really bring a little bit of validation, acceptance, humor, if you will. I love humor too. Like, of course, that's not something I would want to do. So humor can have some really good benefits as well.
Yeah, it's just being able to laugh. And I love the example of like you wouldn't talk about books with someone who doesn't want to talk about books. And then I'm over here as someone who wants to talk about like Taylor Swift at all times with everyone, especially people who don't want to talk about it. So clearly I haven't gotten the memo on that part. I want to talk about everything all the time with everyone and just annoy them. I love this conversation because this is what I was missing growing up, right? I spent so long feeling like I was the only one feeling this way, feeling like I didn't have anyone to turn to because I didn't know how to find support. And I thought support had to be the people immediately around you. And that was the only support that you had. So for people listening who are like, okay, I get it. Maybe my support isn't the people immediately around me. How do I start having conversations? Like, how do I begin to find that support? Who are the people I can lean on? How can people maybe go about that?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and I think it really starts with really just kind of thinking about going back to who you feel comfortable around and the why behind that. And there's so many different people that we might come in contact with, whether we know them very well or just a little bit, or let's even say with coworkers. It's interesting because if for those who might work like a full-time job or a part-time job, you spend a lot of time at work if you're working with coworkers or in the office, and you see these people, day to day. But then typically when the workday's done, or if it's the weekend, you don't talk to some of them again until the next work week. But what's really interesting is that sometimes we feel very comfortable talking with coworkers because they don't know our family, and we can share things with them or get their opinion or quote unquote vent to someone. And it feels more comfortable because we don't have, I don't want to use the word consequence, but for lack of a better word, we don't have the consequence or the pressure of being challenged by somebody because they don't know that other family member, that maybe we're talking something through about something at home or something like that. So, I just think that just being able to kind of ask ourselves, are there people in my life that if I want to share something with, who are those people? And if they're not family, is it a friend that I have? Could it even be a coworker? And sometimes what's really interesting is some people find the most support from the people that they know the least. And it really can be because they don't know as much about us as other people who've seen different seasons of life, different stages of life, ups and downs. And when all that stuff is taken away, where you don't know the extended family members, you haven't met them, or you don't know all of the ups and downs and changes in life, that person that we're talking to who doesn't know that stuff really is so present in just listening in the moment to what you're sharing, and they don't have anything to compare it to. So if you're thinking about wanting to share something with someone, just who is that person that you feel comfortable around, that you think deserves to know or deserves to be a part of that conversation? And if you start to share and it doesn't feel comfortable, or you don't feel connected anymore to sharing what you intended to or what you wanted to, you just, take a pause and choose to, stop sharing. And that's okay too. It can be, I just feel like I need to think about this a little bit more. Thanks for listening to what I did share, right? Like, you can always stop. You don't have to keep going. You can trial it out, see how it feels.
I love that advice. I really love to trial it out and see how it feels.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't know until you know, right? See how it goes. And you might talk to someone and realize, like, hey, that wasn't the right person for me. Or, oh my goodness, this was exactly what I needed. But you don't know until you try. And giving yourself the space to figure out who makes you feel safe, who makes you feel comfortable, gives you that support that you need. And again, it's okay if it's not who you thought it would be. I think we have all these expectations in our mind of who is going to be that person. And it usually, really, oftentimes it's not who we think it's going to be. And that's what makes really beautiful relationships happen, right? It's that we can get support in so many different places. Brittany, you have been absolutely amazing. As we are wrapping up, tell people more about you, your book, how they can find you, connect with you.
Oh, well, that's very nice. Well, thank you. So yes, I'm a therapist in New York State, and I have a little self-care book that's called Selfish is the New Selfless. And it's truly a guide that encourages thinking around, are we making decisions that are in our best interest? Allows you to kind of think about it out loud, jot things down. And yeah, it's available. I'm on social media, on Instagram at BrittHannaB, and my book can be looked at on there as well.
Thank you so much for listening to Normalize the Conversation. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. This podcast is an initiative of Inspiring My Generation, focusing on normalizing the conversation, bringing education and awareness to the forefront, and amplifying global voices to spark change and hope. Inspiring My Generation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization on a mission towards suicide prevention through awareness, conversation, education, and support. Connect with us on Instagram at Inspiring My Generation and visit our website, inspiringmygeneration.org, to learn more about our work and how you can make a difference.